Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, and in this video I'm gonna show you how you can make those highlights in your photos really pop out. If you want to learn more about wildlife photo editing, make sure to check out my course. There I go really in depth on every subject of wildlife photo editing. There is a discount in the description of the video, check that out. So let's use this photo. If you want to follow along, I will link this photo in the description of the video so you can just download this and follow along. Or you can use your own photo, that's absolutely fine. So first of all, let's open up the photo in Photoshop, and then I'm gonna create a new layer on top of my photo. And let's first make a curves adjustment layer, and then I'm gonna move this to the left. You can see I take those highlights, I move them to the left, so it's really light now. Now, I don't want to have this light on the whole photo, I just wanna have it on some areas. So what I do here is I'm gonna press on the curves here, and press Ctrl I or Command I to invert it. And now if I take a white brush, let's just take a normal soft round brush here, opacity and flow I have at 100. I'm gonna make the brush smaller. I'm gonna brush some highlights lighter. So you can see here, this mane here on the side gets a bit lighter, and that's exactly what I want. I want to brush this lighter. Make sure you don't brush the background like that, because then you're gonna make the background lighter. We just want to have this line lighter. And in this photo it's pretty easy to see where you need to brush, because you can clearly see the sun is coming there from that side on his face like that, and that's an easy way to see where you need to brush. So you want to brush the right side of this line a bit lighter. Also we get some light here, I'm gonna brush those also. Let's do also there, and you can already see we get some nice highlights popping out. Now let's do also some here, there, maybe a bit there. And this already is pretty much enough. I'm not gonna brush its face or else it's gonna get too light. So let's see, before we had this and now we have this, we get some nice highlights now. Now we can even go a step further. The layer that we just created, this one, the first one, I'm gonna go to edit while selecting this layer, then select fill, select 50% gray, and change the blend mode to overlay. And this way we don't see this layer anymore, but if you're gonna use the Dodge tool, we will see this layer. So with the Dodge tool, we can make those areas even lighter. Now here we have the range. We can select shadows, midtones, and highlights. Usually I would select highlights, but I think the highlights in this photo are already pretty light. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to midtones, and I'm gonna drop the exposure here. Let's try out 10 and see how this looks. Can barely see it. Let's increase it a bit. So this also depends on your photo. Let's try it again. And now you can see it gets a bit lighter. And this way we can even make those highlights a bit lighter than before. So what I'm doing now is I'm brushing these highlights again to get them even lighter than before. Right? So we have two layers. One is with the curves and the second one is with the 50% gray layer. And I'm gonna brush these highlights slightly lighter like that. And you can see it still looks like a real photo. It doesn't look like we really edited this a lot, but we just did these kind of adjustments to the highlights, and it already made this photo really different from the original one. When we're done, I will compare the before and after, and you can see how much of a difference this will make. You can see I'm also doing the body here a bit. And the reason why I'm doing the line only and not the background is because I want to separate this line more from the background, right? So once we do this, we get a real nice separation. Now, this was before, this after. You can see it gets some really glow. I think this is a bit too much, and the reason why we use this 50% gray layer is now we can easily just control the opacity here. So if I'm gonna drop this, I can really control how much I want from this glow effect. So if you don't want to have it that much, you can drop this really low, like maybe 20% or 30%. And you can see here, I can also go to this one. I can control everything I do here. So now we have these nice highlights. I'm gonna create a new layer on top of this, and I'm gonna fill this with 50% gray again. Change it to overlay again. And now I'm gonna brush the background slightly darker to separate the line even more from the background. So here I will select, let's select highlights first, and let's do somewhere around 30, 40. And this one I'm gonna do slightly because I still want to see the background. I don't wanna remove the background. I wanna make it slightly darker, right? Then I go to midtones and I will drop this even lower and just do it again. Just a couple clicks there to make this slightly darker. Let's drop it to shadows, and now I'm gonna put this really low like that. Now let's see, let's compare this. Let's put this in a folder. This was before and this after. It looks really nice. Now let's create a new layer, and here I'm gonna create some light. So let's take something like pinkish color. Make sure we take a brush here, and I'm gonna make a dot like that, and with Ctrl T I can stretch it out to create some sort of light effect coming from there. And this will even make the highlights look more real, right? And if you press Ctrl U, you can change the color a bit more whitish. If it gets too yellow, usually it gets too yellow, so I'm moving the slider a bit up like that. Let's also add the hue and saturation here, and I'm slightly gonna drop these colors to get kind of this color tones. I think this looks better. And when you're done with this editing, just increase those highlights again and bring those blacks a bit down to get some nice contrast. Or you can make this kind of S-curve. This also works pretty well. Right, so let's compare the before and after again. Before we had this, and now we have this. It looks like a really cool image. So that's how you edit those highlights on your photos. Try it out on your own photo, and they might get better. So thanks for watching. This was just a quick little video to edit those highlights.